Hey, ladies and gentlemen, and what has probably been the worst kept secret of the 2021 season, George Russell going to Mercedes. I'm William,
Juan.
and we're here to talk to you today a little bit about the information behind it, what other kind of moves is going on behind the scenes, what we can look forward to for next year for Mercedes.
Totally agree about the worst kept secret. I think everyone has known. It was so funny because this past race, everyone, when George Russell was getting interviewed, everyone was passing by him and saying, "Hey, congrats on the new contract," and he was just like a little girl, just like, "Oh,
Not
what contract?"
yet. Yeah. People wanted to see Latifi. I can understand that. But yeah, it's been talked about for a while. Even the announcers, 2, 3 weeks ago were like, yeah, there's a rumor going around. It's like, well, everybody knows. Everybody's been talking about it. Nobody's been denying it.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like it was in the works for a while. And I'm sure they announced it at this time because of Bottas going to Alfa Romeo. They wanted to also show, hey, well, we'll just make it official. We're putting this driver in.
You know, Bottas just got announced yesterday. Like I said earlier, it started a domino effect. So now we're starting to see all these contracts come in, and at this point, they're kind of like forcing their hand to just reveal who they've signed.
Bottas, this is Mercedes. We need you to abort the driver change. Abort the driver change.
Yeah, yeah, and one of the things that really impressed me about George Russell, and I think this is when they really started considering him, was the Secure Grand Prix last year, where I think Lewis was out with COVID, and he got to drive his car, and he was just incredibly quick. He was already, I think, competing against Bottas, did a couple of overtakes on him. I think he had some really bad luck though. I think he had a puncture, had a mixed tire set, so just a lot of unluckiness in that race. But in that race, he was able to show that, within a matter of no time, he was able to adapt to that car. And I think that speaks to the level of talent that he has. And so I think he is the future of Mercedes.
Sure. I mean, Mercedes definitely thinks so. Putting a lot of money and faith in this driver. Young guy, really good Formula 2 career. Yeah, the one time he stood in, he's been beating every person in qualifying, every teammate he has in qualifying, except for Bottas when he stood in for Mercedes. Bottas beat him in qualifying. But
Okay.
every Williams race he's been in, he's beaten his teammate in qualifying. So it's clear that he's got some consistency, he's got some talent. I would be shocked if he did terribly next year. I think he's going to have to come into his own. Mercedes probably being if not one of the best, if not the best teams out there. He's going to have a great chance to work with the engineers to get basically perfect setups. There's going to be a lot of options available for him.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't do well, they'll probably just scrap him and start over. I don't think they're going to hold him for too long if he has a really bad year.
Yeah, yeah, because I think it's only a 1 year contract, right? So they're probably gonna test the waters, see if he does really well. If he does, then keep him. If he doesn't, goodbye. We have other Mercedes drivers that can fill in the seat.
hmm
How do you think they're gonna do next year, Mercedes?
I mean, obviously, it's up in the air with a bunch of rule and car changes. We could see him doing fantastic, them being just a great teammate structure. We could also see him holding up the midfield. Or, it's kind of like what Bottas has been doing. Really impressive drives. They say he's not consistent enough. He's been, in my mind, pretty damn consistent, but they could just use him as driver number two. And if Lewis is having a struggle of a race, they're going to have him blocked. They're going to have him pit late. They're going to make him run long on the track with different
Mm-hmm.
tire compounds. So he's definitely going to be second to Lewis in every way. I'm sure he's okay with that.
Yeah.
Sure he's going to get some good experience from it, but he's going to have to keep up.
It'll be crazy if a like Hamilton and Alonso relationship's gonna happen. So when Hamilton joined in 2007, Alonso was this reigning champ that was there for a while. Led the team, and then suddenly the rookie comes in and starts destroying him. So I wonder if any of that dynamic is gonna be present.
That would be very surprising if George Russell just starts like destroying Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
I mean, for qualifying, he starts beating him, starts getting fastest laps. I don't know. I don't see that. I think Lewis is a really good competitor. I think Mercedes themselves doesn't want to see that happen. They want Lewis to keep winning. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm sure if it's a clear that he's the fastest driver, they're going to start leaning towards Russell. But I think Russell is going to take these slightly worse options, the slightly worse strategies, unless, he just out the gate performs incredibly.
Yeah, and I hope for the sake of our entertainment that there is someone that can challenge Lewis Hamilton in that same car, because while Bottas has been consistent, he doesn't necessarily outpace him ever. So that'd be interesting if we can see that.
would be interesting. I'd love if Mercedes, I mean, continue their dominance, obviously. It's going to be competitive. They're not just going to drop off a cliff even with car changes. But to see Lewis and Russell, if they really get into it on their own, or if they kind of start butting heads,
Mm-hmm.
if Russell doesn't listen to the drivers, to the
Mm.
race engineers, I don't think that's going to happen. Knowing Russell and the way he talks,
Yeah.
basically like he's reading a script, he's going to say yes sir, no sir, and he's going
Yeah.
to he's
If
going
you
to do
have to,
exactly what they want.
if you have to compromise my race for Nikki, do it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have no trouble, being the second driver at least the first season. I think if he is able to prove himself a little more, then definitely he's gonna, want a little more from the team. Yeah, I wonder what the impact of a lot of the development that Mercedes has done this season will impact their drive for next year. They're one of the few teams that has developed late into this season, 2021. So I wonder if that's gonna have any impact on next season.
Well, with the complete change in car setups and rules and different downforce dynamics, I think both of them are going to have to get used to it. All teams are going to have to get adjusted to it with new tires as well. There's going to, just like when there are pretty major rule changes, sometimes it pushes the grid out even more. Sometimes it pushes them a lot closer for that year because everybody's getting used to it and there's a lot of changes in the pack. F1's promising basically that it's going to be more competitive racing. We'll see. I'd love to see it. I think everybody would love to see it, but with the history of Formula One, a lot of times rule changes can either make some teams incredible because they get crafty, and it can also make really good teams really bad teams because they couldn't figure it out in time.
Yeah, and this is also going to be one of the first times that Lewis doesn't have a Finnish teammate, and he's only won his championships with Finns on his team.
Confirmed George Russell getting a second citizenship.
Absolutely, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I was thinking. Okay, so I think that leads to the next conversation, right? What's going to happen with Williams now that Russell's confirmed out of there? I think the conversation right now is that Latifi's going to stick around. I think he kind of proved that in his previous like three races that he's pretty consistent and he knows the team. He's very familiar with it. So I think teams are going to want to go in with people that are already familiar with the team structure for next year's regulations. So that extra seat, what do you think is going to happen to that?
It's kind of up in the air. I mean, obviously they kind of have a pick of a litter of a lot of young drivers. I think they are going to go young again, 'cause there's some Formula 2 champions that haven't confirmed anything, haven't denied anything. They have some opportunities to get a little creative with it. I think they're going to go with youth over experience, mainly because it's more affordable. I don't, they obviously, as a Williams team, probably can't pick up these huge players or
Mm-hmm.
convince them to pay. But then again, there's only a handful of people that, besides all the secondary emergency drivers that they could put in, people who are really trying to prove themselves are a lot of young guys coming from Formula 2, Formula E. I can't remember the name of the Formula E driver who won last year. I don't know if
You
you
mean
pulled
this
that
year?
up. Was it this year?
Yeah, this year it was Nick DeVries.
Nick
DeVries?
DeVries.
DeVries?
Yeah, which I remember him stating when they were asking him about, oh, are you going to go to Formula One? Are you going to go to Williams? He says he's very happy in Formula E, but, you know, if I think if they convince him enough, give him a good offer, see what happens. It's going to be cool. Again, it's up in the air. This is one of the things where, like, George Russell's rumors have been going on for a while now, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody said anything about it, and they've pretty much just been like, it's going to happen. But Williams has not, from what I've been reading and seeing, they have not come out with a definitive, even rumor.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
there's a lot of different drivers.
yeah,
It's up in the air.
and they've been saying a lot that like we have a lot of options right now, and I think that's a really good position for a team to be in because it's good to have those options, and it's good to have people even from different teams because I know one of the options that they've been talking about lately is Alex Albon. But Toto recently came out and said, yeah, we'd be more than happy to let Alex Albon drive because I think Toto has a lot of influence over that seat. And so they were saying, yeah, we'd be more than happy to let Alex Albon drive. I wouldn't want to block such a great driver, but he'd have to cut ties with Red Bull if he wants to come over here.
Hmm.
And I don't think that's going to happen. If that's the condition, I think Alex Albon is out. But I know F1 meme pages have been talking about how Alex Albon is only following the Williams page and his girlfriend only follows the Williams page. So what does that mean? Who knows? Maybe we'll have Albon in the Williams seat next year. Maybe we'll see him return. But Again, I think there's nothing substantial so far.
I'm sure it'll be announced here pretty soon. I don't think before the next race, but give it a few weeks. I could see them just, deciding, hey, we're gonna let them know now.
Yeah, honestly, I think after this next race, just like they announced it like immediately after the Dutch Grand Prix, I think following that Monday from Monza, we're gonna see who's gonna be in that Williams seat, or at least the Alfa
Hmm.
Romeo seat.
Oh boy, yeah, a lot of drama. A lot of things that have the two that people have expected for a while have already happened. Bottas going to Alfa Romeo and Russell to Mercedes. So now we're kind of just going to see who they're going to pick up. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of young guys joining the field. There's going to be a couple of rookies out there next year. Thankfully, our favorite team, Haas, is not making any changes whatsoever.
None.
So we will be very excited to watch them slow down the pack.
I'm actually really thankful that AlphaTauri kept their lineup. I'm really excited for Tsunoda again, and Gasly's just on fire, so obviously they would re-sign him.
Yeah, the midfield's looking out for 2022. The midfield's going to have some really good experienced drivers, going to have some hot competition, maybe even better than this year. But I think the competition in the midfield has been awesome this year. They've been trading races. So we'll see. It just kind of comes down to, for 2022 at least, how the teams work out with new cars, new tires, new setups, who can adapt to it first, who can make the car better before the first race, and how the drivers are going to deal with new teammates and new people on the grid.
Yeah, and I guess we'll follow the news closely, and as soon as something's announced, we'll be sure to post about it. Hey guys, thanks for making it this far into the video. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.